Hello and welcome to Hoop 7's Basketball Hustle for another week, and we've got a massive show for you once again, and the NBL season's warming up. We've got a big round 16 to look back on, a huge round 17 that gets underway with a doubleheader on Thursday night, and we've got a bit of making up to do for the show this week, and we've got two special guests. We'll speak to the master coach Rob Beveridge and the Cairns Taipans legend himself, Alex Lauten. The Perth Wildcats are on the move in terms of the way they're playing and also potentially personnel-wise. The playoff battle's heating up. I'm Chris Pike, your co-host. We're here thanks to Hoop 7, of course. But the man you've all tuned in to hear from, the man who's now out of his house for the first time in 2 weeks, and he's feeling good as far as I know, Cody Ellis. Must be nice to be up and about.
Very much so. Good to see you face to face again, mate.
Yes.
It's been about 3 weeks now, so yeah, happy to be out in the world again, and not confined to my gaming chair and in my office at home. So yeah, very happy to be out.
You get the feeling at one point or another, most of us are going to end up with COVID at one point. What was your experience like over the past week and a bit?
Oh, look, for me it wasn't too bad. I didn't get hit too bad. I'd had my booster shot about a month ago, so whether that was coming into effect, which it probably has. Look, headache and a bit of a fever the first night, and then it was kind of just like a head cold. But yeah, other than that, it was just boredom. Just sitting at home, not being able to do anything, mate.
Yeah. Little Chase, was he at home with you, or to keep you company, or did he head over to the grandparents?
He was at mum and dad's. Yeah, so he was at mum and dad's for the week. We'd dropped him off on the Saturday morning, and yeah, that night was when I tested positive. So
he couldn't come back.
No. So he stayed at mum and dad's. They all self-isolated as well anyway. But I'm sure he had the time of his life living with them for a week.
Well, he would have got pretty spoiled, wouldn't he?
Yeah, exactly. So he probably enjoyed that rather than being at home with Lauren and I like he was the week before.
How did you and Lauren get along? Did you get on each other's nerves by the end?
No, we kind of were separated in the house a bit.
Okay.
So I was, like I said, I was confined to my chair and my little office desk, and Lauren kind of had free reign of the rest of the house. But no, it was all right. It was all right, man. So made it work.
Very good. Good to see you again, and good to know that you got through it pretty much unscathed. So let's get on to some basketball talk, because we've got a big show. We'll speak to both Bevo and Laus, because we didn't manage to catch up with Bevo last week, but it wasn't like we were short on topics either. So I hope everyone still enjoyed the show, but we'll speak to both of them as we go along this week. Now, before we get to the action on the court, Cody, we've been talking pretty much since you came on board this show here on Hoop 7's Basketball Hustle about the Perth Wildcats making a change of import. The official announcement hasn't been made yet, but the fact that John Brown III, well, let's give them a pump up. He was in Hoop 7 on Sunday morning taking a visit, and why not? It's the best basketball store you'll find. He was at the game on Sunday when the Wildcats made their return to ROC Arena. He's had a couple of workouts now at Bendat Basketball Centre with the Wildcats. I think it's fair to say that his signing is imminent.
Yeah, I think so. I think they're kind of just waiting for his clearance. I think that's about it. And then once they get that, then he'll be in the jersey. But it needs to happen quick.
I think he needs to play Thursday night.
I think he has to. I think he has to qualify. But I think, watching his highlight tape and all that sort of stuff, obviously everyone can look good on a highlight tape. Sure. But the thing that I liked was a lot of it was his hustle plays and defensive stops. I think he'll fit into their system perfectly, and I think that's kind of a bit of a piece that they're missing.
You've talked about the type of play that they need quite a bit. He almost fits your description perfectly, because they don't need someone that can come in and score and shoot, because they've got Vic Law and they've got Bryce Cotton and they've got Todd Glanfield backing them up. They need somebody who had some good size and length, and at 6'8", he brings that. They need someone who's a good rebounder, and he's got good rebounding numbers over his career. They need someone who's a good defender, and he's set all sorts of records for steals throughout the EuroLeague when he was playing for his Russian club, and he's a great defender. He pretty much fits the bill just about perfectly. Yeah,
I think so. I think they've done well with getting him on board. Probably not the monster that we thought they might need.
No,
but I think that he does fit the bill perfectly. He's played. I think he was 2 through a 5 over in Europe, and obviously they've got some big horses down low that he's had to guard. It's not going to be anything new for him here. And yeah, I think he will certainly help with that defensive bite that they need.
My understanding is that they don't necessarily need to cut Michael Frazier either. Obviously, he won't continue to play because you can only have 3 imports playing. But I think they can sign him on a similar rule to what they signed Will Magnay last year as a nominated replacement player. That means you just have to sit one of your 12 squad members. Would that be easier on Michael Frazier if that's the case? Or is it easier if he just gets the cord cut and gets let go? Or would you want to hang around if you're in his shoes?
It's a tough one. You've kind of put lots of time and effort and sweat into the club so far this year. And I guess there's not a whole lot of leagues starting up again around the world right now. So unless he's already got something lined up, I wouldn't expect him to take off. I think you probably still want to stick around, especially in the NBL and especially with the Cats. You become a really close-knit team. So, he's probably really close with a lot of the guys now.
And I haven't heard a bad word said about him.
No.
I think the decision's simply that he wasn't quite the type of player and he's just a player down on confidence. But I think he's character-wise and popularity-wise, I think he's fitted in very well.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like you said, I haven't heard a bad thing said about him either. And outside looking in, he looks like he fits in perfectly with them. But you're right, just not performing. And to be a championship contender, they need everyone firing, and he just wasn't doing that. And as an import, especially in this league, you need to be firing at all times. It's unfortunate, but it's one of those things that it happens.
NBL 1 season starts in 2 weeks. Have you got a spot there at the Warwick Senators you could use him in?
Geez, I don't know. We've got a pretty full roster now. Not that I would say no to having him in our lineup at all.
Well, it's 2 weeks away for him. If he wants to come down to Warwick Stadium and have a run around, then he can come down with your coach too, and they can drive down together.
Perfect.
So another interesting thing that happened on the weekend, I think we all loved the celebrations of Scott Roth especially after the win a couple of weeks ago against the Illawarra Hawks, and I think we loved the passion, and I would hate for him to now not feel like he can do that because of what happened after the game when they lost down in Launceston to the Illawarra Hawks, where, to be fair, it looked like Antonius Cleveland was mocking him in his celebration. Scott Roth certainly felt like he was, and let's be honest, they almost came to blows as a result. I don't mind what AC did, but I also hope that it doesn't stop Scott from showing his passion moving forward, and just because he feels like it might upset the opposition. Yeah,
and look, it's obviously been a big talking point. I actually had already turned the game off, so I'd already flicked channels, and I didn't see it straight away until I saw it a bit later on social media. Look, I don't think it's a great look for Cleveland or Roth. Obviously, we love Scott being so animated and invested in the team's success, and when they get a big win, we know it and everyone knows it. And look, as an opposition, that can get on your nerves. So I get that. I totally understand where Cleveland's coming from, and it was against them where he jumped and screamed, and that was a massive win for them in the scheme of things. You're right though, it did look like it was Cleveland mocking him, and that's not ideal, and that's fairly disrespectful. But to have him almost go to blows is not ideal, and it's not a great look for the league. But I do understand where both of them coming from. So it's a tough one. It's a tough one.
I asked Brian Gorgian about it afterwards, and I was expecting him to play it down and just say that AC was excited and there was nothing more to it. He actually took it in a different direction and was talking about how the Hawks had felt slighted by the way Scott had celebrated after the game, and felt like that they'd had their noses rubbed in it a little bit. That's not how I felt at the time when Scott was celebrating like that, but clearly the Hawks used that as some added motivation, and they'd lost again to the JackJumpers since then. So they've lost to them a couple of times. So there's a lot of feeling in that game. Can you use that sort of thing as motivation sometimes?
Oh, for sure. And start of the year, it was more him after shaking hands and all that sort of stuff, coming into that huddle and celebrating with the crowd. Whereas this one was a lot more animated and right as Gorge
was right in front of Gorge,
walking up to shake his hand. So I totally understand where they were coming from. I really get it. And you're right, you can use that as motivation. I'm 100% sure that Gorge would have used that. He would have mentioned it in the post-game meeting, in trainings leading up, in the pre-game talk, he would have mentioned it for sure. And the way Cleveland came out and played, it looked like he had some extra motivation. And I get that. And look, even just the way the team played, they looked like they had that added motivation. So double-edged sword, you know, I think it's good to see a coach so invested, especially for a new team coming in. But it can rub you the wrong way as the opposition, for sure.
Do you think it might mean we don't see it again out of Scott?
I think so. Yeah. I do think so. Which, you know, it's become a talking point.
He would hate that too, wouldn't he?
He would. Yeah, he would. Whether that's the club or the NBL telling him he needs to dial back on it, or if it's just himself just saying, all right, I'm probably not going to do that anymore. Yeah. But that's just emotion after a game.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think he had any menace in what he did.
No. Yeah. No, I don't think so either. But the Hawks have also got to take that as, all right, well, they're pumped that they beat us. Sure. You know, and obviously that hurts at that specific time. So, you know, like I said, it goes both ways. But, I don't really see us seeing that again.
So round 16 in the NBL, and I think we started to get some answers about who, you know, could potentially make the playoffs and who won't. It started back on Thursday night, and the Illawarra Hawks had a really, probably not a great defensive performance, but they turned it on offensively against the South East Melbourne Phoenix and won 103-97. Then on Friday night, well, one of these teams was always going to end their losing streak, and it was the Adelaide 36ers beating a pretty disappointing Cairns Taipans 83-57. Then the game we just spoke about. Surprised with the margin in this one down in Launceston. The Hawks really turned it on in the second half and pulled away from the JackJumpers to win 91-65. And then Sydney Kings, they kept winning 8 straight now for them, but continued the pain for South East Melbourne Phoenix 91-89. Then Melbourne United, probably as we expected really. I mean, just proved that they were in a different league than the Adelaide 36ers 101-74. Cairns Taipans bounced back in Brisbane to beat the Bullets 98-88. And then finally, first game in about 4 months at RAC Arena, and the Red Army got to celebrate with the Wildcats beating the Breakers 95-85. Probably wasn't too many surprises, Cody, but to me, it's the Illawarra Hawks that look like they're now starting to really find their groove.
Oh, for sure. This was a massive weekend for the Hawks and for Phoenix. And the Hawks stepped up and rose to the occasion, and the Phoenix did the opposite. Sure. And they kind of shot themselves in the foot a little bit here, especially losing to the Hawks and to the Kings, who are the two teams they're fighting out for that.
And then the two teams that they're now below, they're outside of the top 4 altogether.
They are. And that's 4 losses on the trot now for them. They look like they're missing something. I don't know what it is. I don't know if they just don't have that same bite that they had at the start of the season.
Is it as simple as Brokoff not being there, or is it more than that?
That's kind of what I think it is. Yeah. And I was talking to Lauren about this over the weekend when we were watching him. I said, with Rowdy out, you know, you lose that guy that will dive on the floor for you, that gets those extra rebounds. Look, they've got some really.
He was their Galen type player. That's why he's been nominated for that award, because he's the one that's brought the energy.
Yeah, he has, and he was a big time difference maker for them. And as we're now seeing, without him coming in and doing what everyone thought he was going to do and knock down shots left, right, and centre, so it's a big piece out for them. And no one else is stepping up to fill his shoes, unfortunately for them.
Interesting. Cam Glidden, a couple of weeks ago, we were really happy for him when he had that breakout game and 20 points, and I think he had 4 threes in the first quarter. He's only scored 2 points in 4 games since. To me, he's the one that, at least shooting-wise, is the one that should have stepped into Rowdy's shoes, and I'm not saying it's Cam's fault, because he hasn't really been put in that position. Are you surprised they haven't utilised him more?
Yeah, I think so, but at the same time, this is, you know, his second stint there, and he hasn't really had too many breakout games while playing in that system. Sure. You know, whether that's just he doesn't fit the system, or they're not looking for him, or what the deal is, but it's not overly surprising because we haven't seen it before Brokoff.
No, and even his last season at Brisbane, when he was coming off being in the World Cup team, wasn't great. So it's unfortunate, because he's one of the nicest guys in the league. So we do hope he figures it out. But the Illawarra Hawks look like a team that have now got some answers. they didn't look cohesive at all for most of the first half of the season, and they didn't look like the combination of Tyler Harvey and Radden Mays sharing the ball handling was working that well. They didn't necessarily be finding a way to share the shots equally, or probably get good shots from Jessup and Reith and Cleveland and Harvey and even the Froling brothers. It looked like everything was a little bit maybe selfish in the first half of the season, but this last couple of weeks they look like they are now playing as a really cohesive unit. And I think what Antonius Cleveland is doing is providing something pretty close to what Justin Simon was last year defensively, but he's a lot bigger of an offensive threat, and I think a lot of what's working for them now starts with him. And also, as we talked about, it was either last week or the week before, they've actually got the ball down inside to Duop Reith a bit more, and he's delivering.
Oh, he is, and they just, you're right, they look like a better drilled team now. Giving up 97 and...
only 65 against
65
the
against the JackJumpers is good, but giving up 97 against another high-power team, not ideal.
Yep.
But the fact that they could pour on 103 points, again, that's against a Phoenix team who I don't think play a whole lot of defence either.
Sure.
But you're right, and listening to Gorge speak, I think it was before one of the games, might have been before the Phoenix game, he was talking about training and getting the ball out of Ratham May's hands, saying he's only allowed 2 dribbles at training.
Yes.
Unless he's bringing it up, or if he takes more than 2, then it's a turnover to the other team. He said he implemented that with Kavossi Franklin.
That's right, yes.
And it seems to have worked because it's not sticking in his hand as much. And that was always an issue from watching them, was he would just have the ball constantly, just giving the ball a headache, just always dribbling it. And I felt the ball stuck in his hands too much. And it looks like it's moving a lot better
Absolutely.
now. Cleveland has been just so good for them. Yeah. I think he's lifted a notch defensively again. And offensively, he's just been aggressive. He's getting to the rack now. Yep. He gets in the paint and then just jumps, and no one can jump with him.
Absolutely.
He's so athletic, and he's still taking a couple threes that he probably shouldn't. But, he's getting his confidence, and, you live with those ones at this point. I still think they can pump it inside to Duop a bit more.
Yep.
It's tough because against the JackJumpers, they were pretty good all round. But again, Duop didn't really see the ball a whole lot, or undersized JackJumpers team.
Well, he could have dominated more.
Well, and I thought that would have been a main focus, was to pump it inside to him a bit, and they didn't really. But again, everyone else was clicking and they were playing really good ball. So I think he still needs to be a focus for them going forward. And if Cleveland can keep up the intensity defensively and stay aggressive offensively, I think they'll certainly be a force if they can figure this thing out.
Absolutely. It was an interesting weekend for the Taipans, but we'll leave the analysis of those to Loughs, because he knows them as well as anybody. Before we get to our awards for this week, Cody, anything else you wanted to touch on from this week?
Sydney still look decent without Zave.
Yeah, they do.
And that was always going to be, something that was going to make or break them, was this time without Zave. Yep. And they've stepped up. Martin's been really good. He's been really good for him again. He's kind of stepped up again. DJ's had some decent ones now. And then Adams is just, he's a freak. He's so fun to watch. And, he could be having a down game, but all of a sudden he'll hit a big shot, or, he'll make a couple of big plays.
Ian Clark's fitting in nicely too.
Oh, he was always going to. He seems like an awesome teammate, which is saying something coming from NBA guys coming in. Lots of the times they think, that they're going to be the guy and all that sort of stuff. And they're very selfish, whereas...
You might have had a couple of those at the Kings.
I won't comment on that. But no, he seems like he fits into that team so nicely. And talking about making big shots, he'll just,
No fear.
No fear.
Yep.
And just timely. Just making plays very timely. Again, they're just so fun to watch, and that was a big win against Phoenix for them. Again, without Zave, I thought Craig would...
Yeah, that's exactly what we thought last week. We thought, Jarrell Martin just wasn't going to be able to match their big fellas, but they stood up really well.
They did really well. And, some of those boys coming off the bench were awesome for him. And it's that next man up mentality that they've got, which is really working for them. They're a lot of fun to watch.
They are. All right, Cody, let's get to our awards for this week. We're donuts in the Damo Best Defensive Player Award so far, but Damo will come through shortly, so stay tuned to social media and we'll get the votes from Damo for this week. But we've got the votes from the scoring machine in the Player of the Year award. I think he was impressed with the Illawarra Hawks this week as well, Cody. So he's gone 5 votes for Joel Reith, 4 votes Antonius Cleveland. I think you can probably make an argument to swap those, but the scoring machine probably knows better. He's tough to argue with.
Yep.
Bryce Cotton once again with the 3, Vic Law the 2. Again, I could probably argue you might be able to swap those two, but you know, again, who are we to argue with Sean? And Joe Luala-Chul, a pretty dominant performance against a pretty average Adelaide team, but he still did enough to get the 1 vote.
Yep.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's fairly solid. I think you're right. There's probably some in there that you could flip around, but those are probably the 5 guys that were standouts for this round. Yeah, look, I think Vic could probably be higher, but you know, Bryce doing Bryce things is always hard to vote against.
Yep, absolutely. So there we go. That's thanks to Sean Redhage with Redhage Basketball. So we'll speak to him again in a couple of weeks' time and find out how he's travelling, and I'm sure we'll see him on our TV screens for one of these games this week as well. We didn't see him last week. Damien Martin hogged the screen, but we'll see the scoring machine this week. Time for the Galen Award, the best team man in the NBL, Cody. Antonius Cleveland, potentially hard to pip for this one, but I reckon there's some other handy candidates as well. And we talked about the next man up mentality for the Sydney Kings, and I thought Tom Vodanovic stepped up huge. Yeah. And Dion Prewster for Melbourne United. Chris Golding and Matthew Dellavedova were both struggling with injury against the 36ers, and he's virtually not played at all this whole season. Steps up and plays, I think it was 18 minutes, and he played a hell of a good game. I thought he was very, very impressive, especially given the circumstances. Bull Kowal, maybe he's a little bit too happy with these 3-point shots at times, but the energy he plays with, that hustle ball where he ran down almost a full court loose ball to dive on the ball, then dish it off to Majuk Dang for the dunk. That was pretty inspirational stuff against the Brisbane Bullets. So I thought Bull was impressive. Keanu Pinder, there's almost nothing new we can say about him because he's just continuing to do what he does. Vic Law is a strange one on this list, possibly, because he's such a great scorer, but the work he's doing down low, battling against the bigger bodies, I think is pretty admirable right now. And Majuk, he just continues to do a power of work as well, and did what he could up against big Yanni Wetzel on Sunday. What do you think, Cody?
Yeah, look, another tough one. There's probably 2 that I would narrow it down to in Cleveland and Vic Law. But you're right. I think Vodanovic was awesome. He stepped up. Took a really hard foul and a really hard fall in that game.
He was screaming. It was tough to listen to.
It was. Well, he's a big, thick body, and he had his legs just taken out from under him. No malice, just in the play.
But he was right to take his free throws. That's pretty tough.
Yeah, well, exactly. And he landed really hard on what looked like his tailbone, and that wouldn't have tickled. So, no, I think he was really good for them. Just been really solid for him. Dion, I've really liked Dion's game. I think he's proven in the past that he can make an impact on a team, and he stepped up perfectly for them when they needed it. Bull Qual, same thing. Just, hustle plays. He's done it all year. It's similar to Keanu. Those 2 kind of lead that energy that Cairns need, and probably a few more need to step up.
Sure.
Jock's been awesome for them all year. He's just a workhorse. He does all the little things that don't get spoken about. But look, I think it's hard to go past Cleveland this week, purely for the fact that they won 2 massive games that they needed to win, and he was probably the main catalyst for that. Again, doing those little things, the picking up full court, getting a hand in lanes and diving on loose balls, and being that spark. And again, that's another team that he needs to be able to drag some other guys up to his energy levels for them to be successful, because he's really the only guy playing any sort of defense for them right now.
No, I agree.
And for them to be successful, then they need to switch it on that end.
Yeah.
But I think he was awesome this weekend, and a big reason why they got the 2 wins.
Got to be honest, Cody. I was tempted to have him as the only person as the nomination for this week because I thought he was that much of a standout.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to prejudice your decision. But I think we're in full agreement.
Yep.
And when we come back, Cody, we're going to speak to your old coach, the master coach himself. Finally, Rob Beveridge.
Sounds good, mate. Can't wait.
Okay, back on Hoops Heaven's Basketball Hustle now, and we're joined by the master coach, Cody. We're back with Rob Beveridge, and he's actually very close to us right now. He's been able to get back to Perth and start his job with the Rockingham Flames before heading to New Zealand. How you finding things, Bevo?
Yeah, look, I love coming back. It was like when I finally got here last week. It was a nightmare to get here, but when I got here, it's like the way the world's taken off my shoulders. Like every time I come back to Perth, it just feels so good. And I've had a really, really good week down at Rockingham, and meeting a lot of the coaches. Starting to change what we want to do with the association, and it's a massive challenge. And I've always been one of those people. I love challenges, and I've been working horrific hours, 12 plus hours every single day, but starting to feel the pinch a bit. But pretty excited about what we want to implement down here.
So obviously good to talk to you, mate. Haven't spoken since the last time we chatted, but I guess would you be able to elaborate a little bit more on like what your role at Rocco is right now?
Yeah, so it's a new position down here, and it's probably one of the first positions in all the association. So I'm classified as the high performance manager. Mm-hmm. So to break that down, is my role is to work with both the NBL 1 men and women's team. So I'll be helping Tom Knowles and Ryan Petrick from a mentoring perspective, that I'll be working with them to anything and everything that they want, whether it's offenses, defenses, management of players, whatever it might be. So try and pass on my experiences. Then next level from that is I'm going to work with the majority of the players, although obviously I'm going back to New Zealand on the weekend, putting plans in place to make sure that they're doing stuff in offense and defence and stuff like that. So overseeing majority of those players and helping them to develop and make sure they've got their strength conditioning, make sure they're doing their skill development, etc. Then the next area that I do is I oversee all of the Wobble teams, all the Wobble programs. So all the representative teams, all the Division 12 through to under 20s. And what that's been is putting together, this is who we are as an association. What is our identity? How are we going to play the game? And then from there, that's involved with coach education. So that's probably the biggest thing I'm doing at the moment is a bucket load of coach education, putting videos together for them, having some coaching clinics. So that's what I've done while I've been here. And then the next level down is I've worked with probably around 12 of the Wobble teams, so about half of them, taking them for their sessions and trying to set the standards of what we're trying to do. So that's it in a nutshell. So there's a lot of work to be done, put it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds like trying to develop a culture, a very clear culture, which sounds like awesome work by Rocco. And obviously, to get someone of your calibre is huge for the league and for that organisation for sure. So you obviously take off for New Zealand. You go on a coach over there. When will you be back?
Yeah, so I'd already committed to going back to New Zealand. So this will be my third season going back there. The first season was cancelled because of COVID, but then last year, I did my first or second season, if you want to call it that, with Southland Sharks. They're based right down the bottom of the South Island in Invercargill.
Yep.
which was very cold.
Especially during the winter, you're going to be there when it's the absolute coldest.
Yeah, no, it is, and it's very cold. It snows, it sleets. They call it the polar blast. So every now and then you get smashed by winds and stuff that come from Antarctica. But I loved it there. It's a really good community. We've got great facilities. Just a great organisation to work with, and I've spoken in the past, with Cody and you guys about how we had a pretty crap time, back at Illawarra in the day with the ownership and management group, but going over to New Zealand, it recreated my love of the game again, to just coach great people that work with a good organisation. So I thoroughly enjoyed going over there, and last year we did very well. We made the playoffs, but unfortunately we lost our best shooter, Zoe Burton. He broke his hand 5 days before playoffs. And also we lost our main player and captain, big pledge, Alex Pledger, to cancer. So we had some struggles with the team, but we came real close. We lost the semi-final, I think, by 3 or 4 points. So we're going to be in the mix. So my intention is to go back there. I'm going to do one more season over there with the new kids, the team, the same group. So I head over there this weekend, and then it's been delayed a few weeks because of COVID. So their league doesn't finish until beginning of August. So once that season's over, I'll then head back to Perth permanently. So I'll be moving over pretty much full time. You've
talked before about how you think this is probably going to be your farewell season as a head coach at least at this sort of level. Is that how you're still approaching it? And is it pretty exciting, hoping to have a big finish to what's been a pretty remarkable career?
Yeah. No, I'm trying to. I'm not finishing my career at all. This will be most likely, I would say. I've said it'll be my last season coaching in seasonal play. For example, the MDL, you go 9 months a year for 7 days a week and stuff like that, and it's a real grind. It's tough, and you get burnt out and whatever else. Over there, it's a shorter competition. They go for about 4.5 months, which was just great. I'm always going to be involved in basketball, and the opportunity to come back to Perth and work everything from grassroots through to MBL 1 is great. It gets to tick a whole lot of boxes, but my intent is to continue working with our national program, obviously with the Boomers, and doing as much work as I can. So it's not like, it's the end of my career as such. It's just a change in direction of what I'm going to do. But moving away from, I guess, those long 9-10 months, 7-day-a-week jobs, I don't want to do that again at this stage. So I'm very committed to coming back and getting back and working with people, working with coaches, all of those things. That's what I really enjoy doing. Not that I'm never saying, that's it, I'm retiring from that. Coach, at this stage, I've got a new focus in my life, and that's what my intent is.
You touched on the Boomers there, and we haven't spoken to you since the successful tour you had to Japan. We spoke to you just before you were about to leave, and watching that team, I know you only had a couple of days preparation, but I think you deserve an enormous amount of credit for how well the team looked, how well drilled they looked, how well you performed, and it looked like you had a lot of fun over there as well with the young players, and obviously, Nick Kay and Angus Brandon, Reece Vague leading the way. How was the experience?
Yeah, it was wonderful. It was just, I was just talking to some people earlier, and if you create a happy environment, like where you're having some fun and having good people working together, it makes it so much easier. And coaching this Boomers group, when you look at the group, I'd coached a lot of those players in the past. So obviously you talk about Nick Kay, who is just at another level now, like from when we coached him. We played when he was in our team. He was really good, but now he is like a wow factor. IQ wise, work ethic, leadership, all those things. So he led that team. But then you got I've coached Angus Brand in the past and Reece Vague, and then obviously bring Emmett Nair in. He was amazing. Just with his leadership and his ability to run the team. So I did have those people that I have coached in the past that just came in and they were the engine room. And then you got these young kids, these super athletic, talented young guys that are coming in. They were led by those guys. All I was just a conductor. I just brought them in and pushed them in the right direction. And for them, to be honest, we only had 2.5 hour sessions, but the players were just great people, 100% bought into what we wanted to do, and were totally committed. And that's why we were so good. I looked at the team as well, and we averaged 28 assists over those 3 games, which is just simply amazing numbers. And with stuff all turnovers, the way we moved the ball and shared the ball, and totally unselfish play. You walk away and go, wow, that was great. That was a lot of fun with a great group of guys.
It was certainly fun to watch, mate. And like you said, it was obviously a very, very young group of players. So it looks like Australian basketball is in fairly good hands moving forward. Any of the younger boys that stood out to you?
Yeah, there is. Like David Quira, he, one of the young guys with Melbourne. He's got a wow factor. He's 6'9", he's long, he's athletic, he can shoot the ball. It's one of those things where I think he just lacks belief and confidence, but then you've got to remember he's only 19. And it's like, he could be really, really, really good. And obviously he's in the Melbourne program there and training every day with those guys, so he's going to get better. Jalen Galloway, incredible athlete and shoots the ball so well. Then you got, the youngest guy there, Bowl. He just turned 18, I believe, when we were there as well. So it's like they were so young and they're just puppy dogs. They were, deer in headlights at times, but when you give them the confidence and the belief, I think these kids are going to be really, really good. I was probably, Tyrese Proctor was meant to go. He was selected, and he's one of the top players, and he's touted as an NBA guy. He got COVID the day before we left.
Oh, brutal.
So I was disappointed that I didn't have that opportunity to be able to coach him, because that would have been special, because there's a lot of hype on him, a lot of I would have loved to be able to coach him, but unfortunately that didn't happen. But I understand he's got a huge future as well.
No, you did a fantastic job, Bevo. It was, from my point of view, the best thing about it was just seeing how much you looked like you're enjoying yourself and having a smile on your face. And we look forward to seeing more of that over in New Zealand, and then when you get back here to Perth, Bevo. And I know you've got more meetings to get straight into, so we will have to let you go. But it was a lot of fun catching up again, and we'll do it in a few weeks' time once you're probably settled over in New Zealand. Yep,
awesome. I look forward to regularly being on your show and stuff like that, giving updates from New Zealand and stuff. I'm pretty happy with how things are going. I'm enjoying life again.
Oh, fantastic. Thanks, Bevo.
Thanks, Bevo.
Okay, back on Hoop 7's Basketball Hustling. We're back with one of our favourites. It's a pleasure anytime we get to catch up with this man, and as disappointing as it is that we still don't get to see him on our TV screens every time there's a Cairns Taipans home game, we give him a platform here on the show. Alex Lauten, how do you find you right now?
Mate, we find myself very well, enjoying a lot of the hoops action, a bit of getting to the pointy end of the NBL season, and teams are outside of the four wanting to get in with a sniff and elevating their game. Teams that don't have a chance at the four are playing spoiler and looking to boost their individual stocks as well. So there's a lot at stake either for the team or for the individuals, and it's exciting to see it unfold.
Absolutely. Bit of a familiar trend with people on this show as well. Cody had a week in isolation, then another week in isolation after he tested positive. So he's only just got out in time to record this show this week, and yep. I believe you've been in isolation. This might be your last day.
Yeah, look, my son there tested positive last Tuesday, so that put our whole family behind the closed doors, I guess. And Yeah, look, and he's doing fine now, but the girls tested negative. I'm tested negative as well as wifey, and so we're all set to come out of quarantine. Probably a bit of a novelty for a couple of days, and then it sort of wears off, and you kind of twiddle your thumbs going, man, I wish I could get out. But, do the right thing, keep your nose clean, and then you're off the races coming out of it.
Very good. In terms of basketball, it might have been good timing. You did miss a Cairns Taipans home game because they were away last weekend, which was nice, and they finally got a win on Sunday. How happy for you that they finally broke through, and especially after what happened on Friday night. It was great to see them play well and get to enjoy that winning feeling again.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Friday they, to a man, they'll self-diagnose that one as laying an egg, a nice big fat zero, and they know they've got more. It wasn't everyone, but the usual stars, obviously Machado, Noi and Deng combining for 4 points in the Adelaide game, but turning it around in Brisbane to then combine for about 42 or 46, I think it was, and right the ship. And that's what good players do. The check themselves in the mirror, but then go, look, we know we're better than this. We just needed to, right the ship a bit and get back to what we're doing best. So great to see the guys come back to a home game with a win under the belt. And then be able to tackle a Melbourne Phoenix that's itching to still be in contention for top 4.
Just wanted to ask about Scotty Machado. Obviously, he takes it to heart when he doesn't play well personally. We saw that on Friday night, and we saw how he responded on Sunday. How much character does it show when you're struggling like that personally? And I'm sure physically you're still not 100% either, and then your team's struggling as well. It shows a lot of character, I think, to bounce back like he did on Sunday and lead that team to a win, and like he said, to prove everyone that he's not a bum.
Well, look, I mean, he's far from being a bum, but like his performance this year on the whole has been down. But you can see that he's struggling with that injury or coming back from that injury. I think his mind is still going at elite sort of level. I think his body's sort of just lagging a bit behind, so his finishes are a little bit wayward than what he would normally produce. So that for a player coming back out of injury, it's always frustrating when the mind and the body are not totally in sync. But we know that that he's shown those glimpses of being back to full strength, but then it's hard to either back it up. In this case, he was backing it up for a few days later, but was able to reassemble and get a good performance out there. So, look, it's been a tough year, and when you're at the lower end of the ladder, all the little things get exposed. When you're at the higher end of the ladder and you're winning and all that sort of stuff, all those little bits and pieces are not coming to light, so you can cover up little, leaky holes in the boat. But when you're at the bottom of the table, everything gets exposed as the reason why you're not winning. So it puts everyone under the limelight. It puts Coach Ford's coaching ability under the spotlight. Everything becomes a question of it being the reason why there wasn't any success in the year. But when you see glimpses of the team coming together and showing pockets of really, really good basketball, then you go, it'd be great if they could just put 4 quarters together and play consistent basketball, because we've seen the highs like earlier in the season beating Adelaide, and then we've seen almost the polar opposite, losing to Adelaide in almost a retribution kind of fashion. But look, we still enjoy seeing that the new players coming in performing well. Bull Quoll and the rise of Pinder. It's been exciting to follow those stories as well.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about both of those two, because we saw it was a hell of a roller coaster ride for Keanu in his first season in Adelaide, but he looks a much more comfortable player in Cairns this year. He looks like he's found his groove, and I think that's all to do with feeling comfortable with Adam Ford, because they know each other so well, and he's found his role, and his athleticism, his ability to finish at the rim and be aggressive, and then his hustle, his rebounding, his block shots are fantastic, and then Bull Quoll as well. I mean, that charge down where he ran full court to grab the loose ball and set up, I think it was Majuk for the dunk. That sort of stuff is just inspirational. Those two guys have been a great positive.
Look, I think Pinder, in terms of his performance in Adelaide last year, I think it sort of had an air of, not being convincing. Is he a star here to stay, or is it just a couple of years in the league and it sort of fades out? Well, turn that around into this year's performance with the Taipans. He's been sensational. He's given rim protection. He's given athletic hustle. He's gone after everything. And an absolute coach's dream to stuff the stat sheet. Looking at the stats now, 8.2 points average for the season, 6.6 rebounds in 20 minutes. That's a huge boost. Any time you can inject someone like that to give you all those plays that others don't sort of have as a focus. Someone like Keanu Pinder is absolutely paramount to re-signing for the club. If he's not on another year already, I would be signing him straight away.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's an absolute must sign, and I think the relationship there with 40. I think that
what's the background there with 40 and Pinder?
Yeah, so they're both from WA. So when 40 was coaching in sort of the some of the underage state development teams, then Keanu was part of those, and so when he came down to play in some of those, so their relationship started there, and it's continued pretty well. And I think 40 clearly knows how to get the best out of him. Where it's nothing against Connor Henry, but Connor didn't quite probably know what best situations to put him in, and I think we're seeing the benefits of it now. From a Taipans perspective, what do you try to get now out of the rest of this season? What do you need to see over these last 5 weeks to finish on a bit of a positive note?
Well, I think, to be honest, I was thinking about that exact thing the other day, and in seasons when I've played where we haven't had such a great run, out comes the big old shiny red reset button from coach, and you've almost got to press reset, because what I've seen in terms of their play recently is they're not relaxed. They're not shooting the ball confidently. They're not sort of letting it fly, and kind of there's nothing to play for, right? So you should be kind of of the mindset, hey, we're just going to go out there and have some fun and let it sort of not spray and pray, but we're going to kind of play with a sense of looseness, So it should be getting back to free-flowing basketball, zipping that ball around and just having a crack. What I'm seeing is hesitant sort of play. I'm seeing stagnant offense. I'm seeing guys catch the ball and sort of almost be surprised at catching and not sure if they should go or if they should wait for a screen. Like, I'm just not seeing that free-flowing feel where the shackles are off, where the shoulders are loose and they're sort of, tearing into a team that's trying to, cement their place in the top four. So I don't know what that's from. And something in the back of my mind tells me that, with Coach Ford, is, he's had his moments of having his spray. He's kept it pretty, tight and demanded more, and the pressure has been there. But right now, there's nothing to sort of play for in terms of the team aspirations. Is it the time now where Coach Ford needs to just press the reset button, loosen the shackles, and let's see some fast-paced, free-flowing basketball that's fun. Like, let's let the players have some fun now and see what happens. Let's just see what happens, because nothing else has worked this year. Players, like I said, have been hesitating. Shooters, Jordan Nata, have been hesitating to shoot. So you work, the tactical side of things, you work the ball around to your best percentage shots, right? That's the whole sort of premise of a game plan. Now, within that game plan, there's different things that evolve, but for the most part, you're trying to get it to your shooters, you're trying to get it to your high percentage finishes around the rim. And if you get it there and they're not shooting, then they're not doing their job, and then the game plan gets sort of nullified. So you're sort of like, well, what are we supposed to do now? So there's got to be a point where you almost have to exhale and say, guys, let's just try something different here. Let's look towards next year by just, being relaxed, playing as hard as we can. The effort areas have to be there. That can't wane. And then we're just going to have to let it fly and just see what shakes.
Couple of very interesting games this weekend as well, both at home, both in Cairns. First up, I want to get your thoughts on the South East Melbourne Phoenix coming to town, because all of a sudden, I think a lot of us thought they were a real championship threat, and they still could be, but right now they've lost their last 4 games and the pressure's building. What are you expecting to see from them? And Is it a chance for the Taipans to really turn the screws on them with no pressure on themselves?
Yeah, look, absolutely. I think, Phoenix took it to Sydney last week in a close one.
Yep.
And couldn't quite get it done, and it's been, clocks up four losses, as you said. So they know that they're close, but without tasting that winning feeling, it can always present as a bit of a soft underbelly, like once they crack, they don't quite get over the line. So, if I'm the Taipans, I'm sort of salivating at that sort of situation that, hey, we got a chance to play spoiler here. As a bit of a huge scalp if they can get South East Melbourne Phoenix on Friday in Cairns against the home fans with a win under your belt from Brisbane. I think that there's every reason for an upbeat, energetic Taipans unit to be stepping on the floor and ready to punch first.
Sunday's going to be very strange because it's still at the Cairns Convention Centre, but it's technically a Breakers home game. So we're going to see the Sky Sports signage all over the court. You'll see the Breakers, sponsorship and signage all around the stadium. It's a bit strange to still call it a Breakers home game given it's in Cairns, but it'll be a little bit of a different feeling.
Mate, it's the New Zealand Breakers this year. My hat's off to them for what are we on, like day probably 200 and something of their road trip. That never ends. Yeah. It's a tough situation with this team that is, and I'm sure the league is very sensitive to making sure that they're getting everything they need, in a really extenuating circumstances. So, what they've been able to produce on the floor has been pretty exceptional because of the challenges they've faced. But yeah, like you said, the home game, the New Zealand home game. For New Zealand, it starts on Thursday night against Brisbane Bullets in Cairns, and then they obviously play the Taipans behind closed doors on Sunday. So almost a double header home game double header with no fans. They'll be sort of getting comfortable, I guess. So they would have had a game under their belt after the travel, and then kind of getting settled in. So they might have a good feeling at home, I guess. Second game in that double. So the Taipans have got to be, obviously there'll be elements of feeling it in a comfortable arena, but something will be different. Like you mentioned, the visual aspects will be changed to suit the home game. It'll be an interesting one. It's hard to sort of see how that goes. I mean, is the strength of the home team with the crowd that's behind them, or is it the familiar apparatus of the structure, the rim and the way that moves? But it should be an interesting one. I think New Zealand's got a lot to play for in terms of finishing out the season strong, and their young talent coming through has just been pretty amazing to watch. Even with Son and his evolution and all those players there that really shown some real battle-hardened ability to get through the season the way they have and get some big wins and really take it to other teams in the top four and get really close. So, which could have gone either way in some of those games. So, look, I think it's a bit of a danger sort of a matchup. I think it should be a lot of hostility. I think the Taipans are still, like you said, they want to finish on a high. They want to finish in good stead, not only for their own stock, but hopefully for the team to find an identity at the end of the season.
Absolutely. Does that mean it's also a closed-door game to Laos, or do you find a way to get in?
Oh, look, Laos might try and find a way, but we never know the situation. So might be a chaos situation for Laos.
Just lastly, before we let you go, Laos, we've talked a lot about the last 3 years about how the Perth Wildcats always seem to do this late in the season, and it looks like they're about to announce a pretty handy new import to bring in place of Michael Frazier. I expect him to play Thursday night. It's kind of what we've come to expect, isn't it?
Yeah, look, I think anytime you've got the luxury to bring in, I don't know, maybe 40 or 50 grand a month player plus the 20 grand of flight, no other team's really going to do that except for maybe a Melbourne or a Sydney. But, it's an advantage that the Wildcats will indefinitely do any time because the funds are there to make it happen. So it's not a even kind of league in terms of budget, but, if they've got it at their disposal, then they're going to do everything they can to put themselves in the best possible spot. So I expect a change, 100%. I expect that if you look at a 5-game series in the grand final, you're not going to be able to weather the storm of those little mini battles at the bigs department, because Fraser's not, he's not a tall guy. They don't have enough tall timber there to warrant, the length of time where fatigue kicks in.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, and you're pretty confident that the name that they've mentioned before is the one coming in?
Well, he's already here. Our great partners here on the show are Hoop 7, and he visited Hoop 7 on Sunday before heading along to the game. So I think that's a pretty fair indication.
Yeah. Going to be suiting up within a moment's time, and we thank Fraser for his time.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep.
And wish him well on his hamstring recovery.
which will probably be never ending now, you would think. It's been good fun, Loughs. It's always good fun to catch up with you. Appreciate you coming on the show, and we'll do it in a few weeks' time, and we'll have a playoff series to be looking forward to.
Absolutely. Look, I'm excited about how this league just keeps elevating from year to year. It's gotten tall lately. Like it's the level of play has gone up. The finals is going to be an absolute cracker series over the top four. So I'm certainly looking forward to what unfolds and which teams are going to rise to the top. There's a lot of exciting talent that have become a focal point. All the different teams, obviously, I'm really impressed with Cook and Jalen Adams there for Sydney. I think it's been refreshing to sort of watch, and that's the kind of talent that's coming down. Obviously, with Jalen coming down as the import position, it's someone of that stature rising up above the rim and securing W's for their squad. That's the kind of caliber we're going to be accustomed to. So looking forward to how everything unfolds. There'll be so much to talk about. Can't wait to chat next time.
Look forward to it. Thanks very much, Loughs.
Thanks, Pikey. Cheers, mate.
Okay, back on Hoop 7's Basketball Hustle. I'm back with Cody Ellis. Thank you to Rob Beveridge. Thank you to Alex Lauten. Now, bit of not quite breaking news because we can't 100% confirm this, Cody, but it's pretty safe to say if you tune in your TVs to the Cairns Convention Centre on Friday night, you might see a familiar face on your screen with a microphone in hand. Finally.
Let's hope so. I'm not going to hold my breath, but let's hope so. That would be awesome.
Loughs gave nothing away, but I'm willing to 99.9% confirm that we might see him on our screens, and it's been a long time coming. I think he's pretty excited about it. He doesn't want to get too pumped up, just in case something goes wrong between now and then. But that might mean that our pitches over the last few weeks, Cody, someone might be listening.
Hopefully, that'd be great. No, it'd be good to listen to him. Hopefully, it does get over the line, and that 0.01% doesn't come through. So it'd be awesome to finally have a microphone in his hand.
Yep. I don't want to put him in too much trouble, but he might have even likened it to him coming off the bench, similar to what John Brown is coming off the bench and replacing Michael Fraser, like he is now going to replace John Goanna. So that might be
a solid comparison. I like it.
Solid. So that's something to look forward to. Before we get to that, Cody, WNBL finals are getting underway this week as well. So we've got the two semi-finals. We've got the Melbourne Boomers taking on Adelaide Lightning, the Perth Lynx taking on the UC Capitals. Both of those game ones playing on Thursday night. We're looking forward to it, and those are four really good teams. I don't think you can really split them. I think all four are capable of winning the championship. What I'm disappointed with especially is that, unfortunately, the WNBL hasn't been flexible with their schedule, and the Perth Lynx, who deserve to get a good crowd watching them at Bendet Basketball Centre for this game one, they're playing at the exact same time as the Wildcats down the road.
Yeah, and it's frustrating. And for a league that is growing and with some just amazing talent throughout the whole league.
The WNBA talent in the league is outstanding. It's clearly the second best league in the world.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And it is. It's really frustrating that, that kind of stuff lines up, especially being a final. You've got the Red Army that are just not going to miss Wildcats games. Doesn't matter if it's, game 3 of the season or a finals game. So that does, it really sucks. And it's kind of been like that throughout the season in games lining up with NBL games. And I'm hoping that can change because people need to be watching this league because it's really good. There's so much talent and it's exciting to watch.
I agree. We've talked about it before as well, but just quickly, would you be open to this game being at RSA Arena and making it a doubleheader?
Yeah, for sure. I think that would certainly help. You know, I think if that was going to happen, it might have to be pushed to a Friday possibly.
Yep.
But I think that would be something that hasn't been done in, couldn't even tell you if it's been done before, has it?
Not that I know of.
Yeah.
I know that it's been done elsewhere. Adelaide have done it and Sydney have been doing it this year, but for some reason I don't think we've ever done it here.
No. And it would be awesome. It'd be great. It'd be great for the women's team to be able to play in front of, you know, that crowd.
Yeah.
And, you know, I really hope that people would get down to actually watch it. Because, again, the links are full of such talented players. It's they've got a legit shot at winning it. And
well, I mean, they've got 3 WNBA players in the team, three Opals in the team. It's a stacked lineup. They're a lot of fun to watch.
They are. So, look, I hope they get a decent crowd there to watch and cheer for them because they certainly deserve it.
Absolutely. And then let's hope if they get to the grand final that we don't have it clashing with the Wildcats.
Fingers crossed. Yes.
So, round 17 in the NBL, Cody, and it starts with those 2 games on Friday night. And it starts up in Cairns. There won't be anyone there in the building, but it's the New Zealand Breakers and the Brisbane Bullets trying to create their own energy. I actually think the Breakers might be tough to stop given the way that they've been playing since they've had their full squad.
Oh, they have, and they've been really good. Again, this is, now that they've got a full roster, this is the New Zealand team that I'd picked pre-season to make the 4. And look, Brisbane have probably got the worst little slide going right now. They're probably playing worse than or as bad as anyone else, unfortunately. You know, because they've got some really good talent there, and they're just not clicking, they're not gelling, they're not playing well. And I think New Zealand are starting to get on a bit of a roll and enjoying everyone being there and playing together again, and I think they get that done fairly handily.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. And don't feel bad about your Breakers prediction because I predicted the 36ers to make the grand final.
There you go. Jeez. Okay.
I think I was even further off the mark. Second up on Thursday night. Looking forward to this one. The Wildcats back at home at RSA Arena against a JackJumpers team who probably can't afford to lose another game if they want to stay in the playoff race.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, they hit a bit of a slide this weekend gone. For a team of shooters, this isn't the best shooting gym in the world here.
Never has been, has it?
It's tough to shoot at. Steindl will know the rims like the back of his hand, but you know everyone else may have a bit of a tough time. So, and that's how it's always been here. Look, Perth is always tough. I think the Cats get it done and put what has been a really good first season. Put an end to the JackJumpers season.
Is John Brown setting up?
I think he has to. Yep, I think he has to.
Friday night, this is an interesting one as well. Cairns Taipans coming off their first win in a little while, so they'll be feeling a little bit better. At home to a South East Melbourne Phoenix team who, as we talked about before, they just can't afford to lose this one, or they're losing further touch with the top 4.
Well, that's it, and especially after dropping 2 this weekend, in a weekend that they probably, at very least, had to split, they'll be out for blood, I think. I think they'll jump all over Cairns. You'd like to think so. If they're serious about making a push for that 4, then they have to. I think they get it done, but not without Cairns throwing a few punches.
Another interesting one. Brisbane Bullets back at home on Saturday to the JackJumpers. To me, the challenge is for the JackJumpers to back up having played in Perth on Thursday and then flying across the country now for a short turnaround.
Yeah, and something that they haven't had to do at all this season yet. No one's had to do.
Nope.
You know, come over here and then back over east. So that'll be a tough one for them. And for a high energy team, I think that's going to play a big factor. I reckon Brizzy get that one done. I think being at home in front of their fans hopefully gets them up and about and they can get that one done.
Then, of course, also Saturday night, Cody, we've got a massive game at RSA Arena, the Perth Wildcats and the Sydney Kings. And basically the build-up for that game, given the rivalry that's there this year and for a number of years between those two teams, speaks for itself. So that's a massive, massive game with a lot of ramifications on Saturday night at the Jungle. Triple header on Sunday. Another must-win for the Phoenix as well. But the Adelaide 36ers are back at home, and I know they were bad against Melbourne United, but they were probably equally as dominant a couple of days earlier against the Taipans. So interesting. You know, I think they had a 26-point win and a 27-point loss in the one weekend. Yeah. How does this one go?
Again, Adelaide are one of those teams. It's a flip of the coin, unfortunately. I think if Macca can stay aggressive like he did, which was awesome to see, a bit of confidence back into him and him actually shooting the ball, I think they can push them. But again, I think Phoenix just have too much firepower. Even for a team that doesn't play a whole lot of defence, I don't think it takes a whole lot to push the 36ers out of what they do. Yep,
I think you're right. Now this is clearly the game of the round. This will be a beauty. Melbourne United still sitting on top of the table against the Illawarra Hawks, who, as we talked about before, are in their best patch of form for the season too.
Yeah, they definitely are. High-powered United team. The Hawks really need to switch on their defence. Yep. And if they're going to start turning a corner, I think that's where it needs to start, and this is a perfect game for them to do that. You're probably not going to see Goulding and Delhi both have another bad game in the same game again. So that'll be something to look out for. That's a tough one to pick, that one. I reckon the Hawks get that one. Yeah. I think the Hawks are on a roll right now, and I think they've got a fair bit of confidence after this weekend. And I think they get that one done.
That'd be a big result. It would be really hard to see them missing the top four if they can get that one.
Yep.
Last game of the round, as Laos talked about just before, empty stadium up in Cairns, which is disappointing. Yeah. It's tough to have to create your own atmosphere, but maybe for the Breakers it's easier playing in front of nobody, in front of 4,000 fans in orange screaming at you. So maybe it's the closest thing they can get to a neutral venue. But the Breakers and the Taipans last up at the Cairns Convention Centre.
Again, I think New Zealand starting to have a bit of fun, starting to play well now that they've got their full squad there. Empty stadium, something that New Zealand will be used to, not so much Cairns. And you're right, it's going to be all about who can create that atmosphere from the bench, and I think New Zealand can do that, and I think they end up getting it done. Is that the game Lousy is on the microphone, do you know?
Well, he might be backing up. He might be backing up. He might be having a big weekend. He did allude to the fact that even though no one's allowed into the building, that he might have a way into the building.
Hopefully, because he'd certainly be able to create some atmosphere.
Absolutely. In that situation, are you happy with them playing in an empty stadium, or would you prefer them to allow fans in, even though it effectively makes it an away game for the Breakers?
It's tough. It definitely makes it an away game.
Well, why did they let it happen in Adelaide the week before?
Yeah,
that's what makes it interesting for me.
It was
because that was technically a Breakers home game, but it was in Adelaide.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure why they did that. You don't want to see a game with no fans.
It's tough to watch.
Even I think the Breakers would argue it's better to have fans in there than have no one. Because as a professional league, you want people there making racket. They know that they're on the road. Yeah. They know that they're against it all season. They understand that. I think there needs to be fans.
I agree, and I think you're right. I think they would agree with that as well, because it kind of feels like, I've speaking to some of the players, it kind of feels like just a scrimmage, and it's tough to make it feel like a game, like we saw in that grand final series with the Wildcats and the Kings, that the championship was on the line, but it kind of felt like you were watching a scrimmage for a lot of the time too.
Yeah, it's hard to get up for that sort of stuff. Even pre-season scrimmages, behind closed doors. As much as you're looking forward to that chance to actually play against someone different, it's so hard to get up for that kind of a game, and there's not a whole lot on the line for those two teams, but at the same time, you're still out there playing and trying to earn a living. So, it's tough. So it'd be nice to have fans there.
Along that note, is anyone going to be able to come along and watch the early rounds of your NBL 1 season?
I believe so. I think capacity will be about 50%. Okay. Hopefully the numbers keep dropping and it goes up to 75. But I do think that we'll be able to have at least some people here.
Let's hope so.
Fingers crossed.
Okay, Cody, that's been a fun show. I hope everyone enjoyed hearing from Rob Beveridge and Alex Lauten. I hope everyone enjoyed the insights we were able to bring. It's been a lot of fun going through it all again with you, Cody. It's been fun being able to see your face again. And I'm glad that you're back to full health. Thanks to Hoop 7 for making this possible. I hope to bring you a Tab Touch preview later in the week with Matty Knight, so fingers crossed for that, if the big nightmare can get himself up and about. So stay tuned for that. I'll wrap it up there, Cody, and leave you with the chance to sign off. We'll speak to Adam Gibson next week, but what's your overriding thought heading into round 17?
Another big round. Lots of ramifications on the line, but look, I think it's going to be fun to watch Melbourne and Illawarra go at it, and looking forward to that. So, yeah, again, always a pleasure, mate. So